Every single night before going to sleep, you become the master problem solver of your life. You think that you have calculated every single problem. You have watched all the motivational videos and now you are ready to change your life and become the disciplined person you always wanted to be. Then you wake up tomorrow and find yourself scrolling on your phone again. Not knowing what just happened, it's like all the motivational knowledge just vanished from your brain and you sit there, regret and blame yourself for not being disciplined enough. Well, what if I told you that you are wrong? The problem was never self-discipline. It was something that you might not aware of, or something far more dangerous. It is the unconsciousness. Unconsciousness, lack of attention, a quiet force pulling your life off track without making a single noise. The brain's default mode to run, repeat, and regret. Let's talk about it. Unconsciousness is a state of acting without awareness, where thoughts, habits, and decision happens on autopilot. In habitual terms, unconsciousness is when your brain runs patterns without your permission, scrolling without meaning, procrastinating without noticing, and starting fresh and new for the 73rd time. See, every time you repeat a bad habit unconsciously, you are actually rewiring your brain to transform into a completely different identity. Because over time, these unconscious habits can transform you into self-beliefs. You say that you're not a morning person to avoid waking up early in the morning. You say that you hate reading just to enjoy screens, and there are many more excuses. Look, these self-beliefs and excuses eventually turn into an actual identity which is impossible to break. Because now, you're not fighting a behavior anymore. You are fighting a person who you believe you are. And 99% of people lose this fight against their own self. See, the second identity of yours is formed through years of procrastination, numerous lazy behaviors, and uncountable unconscious actions. Let's just call this second identity the corrupt. It's a part of you that craves stimulation, distraction, and escape. For some people, it's scrolling. For others, it could be gaming, snacking, or just avoiding the hard work. But we all have our own version of so-called corrupt, which is responsible for every bit of procrastination and unconscious habits. You think that you procrastinate because you lack self-discipline or you're not strong enough mentally, but that's not the case. Let me explain this with an example. You not wanting to scroll on your phone, it's like going on a war. You build self-discipline, gain motivation, and train your brain to go on a war against the social media zombies on your phone. You give yourself every bit of advice. Watch as many motivational videos as you can that will help you win this war. And then comes the wartime. It's time to study, but the phone is right next to you. You think that you're ready for the war, but as soon as you look towards your phone, you enter the battlefield. And then something weird happens that makes you instantly lose this battle. The warrior you trained was about to enter the battlefield, but your brain swaps that self-disciplined warrior with the traitor called corrupt. See, corrupt was always fighting against you. So the moment he sees the zombies, he shakes hands with them and lets them enter your brain and fools you into believing that you lost the battle. Then after 2 hours of scrolling, you realize that you lost and fills your brain with even more negativity and regrets. See, this happens with almost every one of us. We look at our phone and it's like a weird feeling in our brain that makes us pick up the phone instantly, either for 5 minutes or for 5 hours. This feeling is our brain swapping that conscious warrior with the unconscious coward corrupt. And this feeling of betrayal makes us believe that we are not good enough and in fact a failure. But in reality, it's not you. It's the corrupt that you have to erase in order to win the war every single time. But before that, it's important to know, how did the corrupt originate? Introducing the autopilot. Autopilot mode is a state of your brain when your brain performs routines, tasks, and functions without requiring a conscious effort or attention. Just like you routinely phone check every single morning, even though you've never consciously decided to do that, it just happens. And it happens because your brain has been trained to run on autopilot mode every morning you wake up. But then, why does this autopilot mode even exist? And the answer to that question is because it's essential and efficient for human survival. See, your brain has a limited energy and attention, so it starts to work on autopilot when you do your daily regular tasks like brushing your teeth, driving a car, or having a shower. Your brain saves your conscious focus for new complex actions and lets easy tasks run on autopilot. But this turns real dangerous when you start to use autopilot for doing actions like procrastination, doom scrolling, stress eating, etc. Because then these tasks turn into autopilot routines and you let the wheel of your habits driven by a familiar sounding identity called the corrupt. And that's exactly how the corrupt develops. The corrupt doesn't need to fight you. He just needs you to zone out and he will take the wheel from there. See, every single time you do procrastinate, the habit or routine gets more rigid and normalized, which is like a power fuel for the corrupt. With your every single just one more time, the corrupt gets more stronger and more difficult to erase. And each and every unconscious scroll is like feeding the corrupt demon to make it more stronger. And here's the crazy part. It's not just psychological. The brain is wired through neural circuits, so we can easily back this up by neuroscientific proof. Welcome, the basal ganglia. The basal ganglia is a cluster of nuclei found deep in neurocortex of your brain. Let's not get too scientific here. The basal ganglia is basically a small structure inside your brain whose main job is to run, repeat actions efficiently. The basal ganglia is the reason why you can perform acts without thinking, like typing without looking, driving without thinking, and also scrolling without noticing. See, every repeated behavior changes the structure of your brain. This is called neuroplasticity. Your brain's ability to rewire itself based on what you do often. If you scroll often, your brain gets better at scrolling. If you avoid discomfort often, your brain gets better at avoiding. And if you delay your work often, your brain links work with pain. And not forgetting the default mode network, the DMN, which is basically the autopilot mode which we just discussed. So now you know that this isn't just mental weakness, it's biological, it's wiring and it's patterns. But the good thing is that the same brain that builds these habits can rebuild them as well. And the key to rebuild them is not willpower, it's consciousness. So by far, we know that the corrupt is made of reflexes, distractions, and mental laziness. And the discipline might not help us from zoning out and landing inside the darkness of corrupt. But the only weapon that is lethal in this war is consciousness. A state of being aware of what you're doing and your ability to observe things instead of becoming them. See, the only way to kill the corrupt is by catching him in the action. Your consciousness works as a spotlight. The moment you shine it towards the corrupt, he freezes, and you break the habit then and there. You want to know how it looks like in real life? So you choosing to watch YouTube instead of studying. But before you close your book and open your laptop, there's like a 3-second gap in which you turn off the disciplined self and convince your brain to let the corrupt take over. That 3-second gap is the time you have to catch the corrupt. And the way to catch him in the action is you have to ask yourself the question, why am I doing it? Just before you tap on YouTube, ask yourself, is this what I wanted to do? And in this way, you can find the corrupt and kill the corrupt through consciousness. See, more conscious you become to catch him in the action, the weaker he gets, and you can make your way towards removing this corrupt from your life and becoming the self-disciplined person you've always wanted to be. See, it's not about blaming and punishing yourself for bad habits. Sometimes you can just take the positive side of life and eliminate the negative identity from you. That's how you can stay positive and achieve to become the person you've always wanted to be.